Heering is a long-standing, family-owned company now in its 5th generation. Our rich history in the agricultural sector stretches back to 1865, and it's something we're immensely proud of. We're specialists, not generalists. That's why chick transport has been our focus for nearly 50 years. Over the decades, we've gained a vast amount of knowledge and conducted research in close collaboration with breeding companies and academic institutions. This solid foundation is what enables us to continuously enhance our innovative and sustainable transport solutions, all of which are produced right here at Heering. Our team fully understands all aspects of the poultry production chain. We have experienced engineers armed with extensive knowledge of trucks and trailers, as well as poultry specialists who provide resourceful and innovative ideas. Our manufacturing facility in the Netherlands specializes in designing and producing poultry transport and storage solutions. This expertise and know-how are key to transporting your poultry while guaranteeing quality, no matter the climate.
Hello and welcome to you all. Thank you for watching the webinar series of Heering. During this webinar series, we will cover a variety of subjects related to the transportation of day-old chicks. Today's subject is how to deliver better chicks during extreme high temperatures. My name is Martijn Nissen. I've been working all my life in the poultry business and I've earned a degree in animal sciences and animal husbandry. At Heering, I am the poultry specialist. In this role, I train and assist customers with the implementation and use of hearing equipment. Besides this, I do data analysis and support with resolving questions and issues customers have in their day-to-day business and transport. This all to help hearing users in achieving the most optimal day-old chick transport. At Heering, we consider day-old chick transport not to be just a trip inside the hearing unit from the hatchery to the farm. No, for us the journey of day-old chicks starts at the pulling and handling of the hatchlings in the storage and waiting room at the hatchery. Already there the journey starts. Then the transfer from the storage room into the hearing unit, directly followed by the trip to the farm, which then is finalized by the arrival at the farm when the last crate or box has been tipped. This entire journey is a critical step in ensuring the health and well-being of these chicks. This is often overlooked, yet it is important to understand that transport is the bridge between hatchery and farm. It's an essential phase in the poultry production. That's what we mean when we say we are connecting the poultry production chain. Ultimately, the aim of good chick transport, and therefore also of Heering, is to transport day-old chicks with the least possible disturbance and the least possible stress. This all to make sure chicks arrive at the destination in most optimal condition. Therefore, it's our goal to make the journey as smooth as possible. This is important because stress, or you could also call it discomfort, has a significant influence in the key production parameters of poultry business. Factors influenced by stress are growth, feed conversion rate, uniformity, meat yield, all of which are very important factors in the broiler industry. For layers and breeders, one could also think of factors like egg production and egg quality, or even fertility rate and hatchability. All these, and many more, are significantly influenced by stress. And this certainly applies to chicks, because during the first hours of their life, negative factors have the greatest impact in percentage terms. Therefore, stress reduction is our overall main goal. So, when we look at the subject of today's webinar, delivering better chicks during high temperatures, one of the biggest and most dangerous potential stress factors in high temperature situations is overheating the day-old chicks. This could cause them harm to their health, development and performance, and potentially even killing them. During this webinar, we will explain the challenges, the impact, the dangers and the risks related to overheating. And of course, how we can prevent this when working in high temperatures. Let's start with the risks and challenges. First, we have to identify the risk potential. When considering transport, we can make a division in risk categories based on trip duration and ambient temperature. A short trip during a period with moderate temperature can be considered a relatively low risk, whereas a long trip during a period with a high temperature, it can be considered a relative high risk. If we then also take factors into account, like value of the load and state of the transport, risk might change. For example, value. Is it a flock of commercial stock broilers with a relatively low value, or is it a flock of parent stock or even grandparent stock with a relatively high value? One could also think of the state of transport equipment. You can think of age, build, brand and quality. If we take these factors into account, and the risk, therefore, can either be assessed lower or higher. This shows that it's important to do a good risk assessment when considering the day-old chick transport to make sure all risks are taken into account and judged. When transporting day-old chicks during high outside temperatures, it's of the utmost importance to be as well prepared as can be, because even the slightest fault or mistake can have a huge and massive impact on the chicks. One of the risks, or we can also call it a challenge, which we face when transporting these chicks in high temperatures, are the uncontrollable outside conditions. It becomes more and more difficult to predict weather extremes, and we have to be aware of the fact that the hatchery and the farm are both stationary locations. They are buildings, and they are always at the same spot, making it more easy to adapt and keep the indoor climate and the environmental situations for chicks fairly stable. However, during the trip inside the truck, this becomes more difficult. For example, weather has a significant higher influence on a truck body than on a stationary building. That's why we as Heering put so much effort into building the Heering units as strong and durable as possible, combined with a very powerful ventilation and climate control system. As Heering, we use strong 400-volt fans, which have the capacity to provide significant pressure and airflow, thus enabling the uniform and efficient distribution of air throughout the box. This capability ensures that every corner receives the necessary fresh airflow, contributing to a healthy and comfortable environment for the birds. For safety, it's also critical to incorporate duality or even redundancy in ventilation design. This ensures that even if one component fails, the system will not completely malfunction at once. Speaking about malfunctioning, also preventive maintenance and, if necessary, repairs are an integral part of the proper poultry production chain. At Heering, we feel that the chick carrier should not be considered as just transport material. No, it's far more. It's an extension of the hatchery and therefore should be considered as hatchery material. And if that's clear, it's also clear that maintenance and also cleaning and disinfection are an integral part of the chain and should be taken seriously. Besides weather and outside conditions, many other conditions count. One can think of road conditions. Are the roads smooth or filled with potholes and curves? Or, for example, the route conditions that has to be taken. How long is the distance? Are there stops like border controls or inspections? Do the drivers have to stop for resting or fuel? Very important are also the driver skills. Has the driver sufficient quality awareness and does he know how to efficiently and properly handle day-old chicks? Does your driver know emergency procedures? And most importantly, how is your driver actually driving? A driver cannot feel like a rally car driver. He needs to be aware of the precious cargo in the back. This means that he has to drive carefully and responsibly. If he only wants to go flat out, please go drive the frozen chicken or even go to Dakar Rally. And, like we said, as Heering, we consider transport being the connection between the hatchery and the farm. And therefore, I also would like to mention the importance of proper farm receival. The farm has to be ready to receive the chicks well prepared and well conditioned, with correct bedding, correct floor and correct room temperatures. Also, its personnel has to be prepared. Swift yet calmly working, the personnel needs to ensure that the chicks are brought into the house quickly and that the boxes are tipped with caution. If the receiving farm crew is limited in number of people, it's better to unload in parts, because a Heering unit is built to maintain the chicks in good quality when stacked in boxes and crates on a trolley. Inside the farmhouse, the climate is meant to keep the chicks perfect when they are on the floor and they can run freely, not when they are inside crates stacked on top of each other. So tipping has to be done quickly after bringing the crates inside the house. Okay, now that we have discussed the risks and challenges, let us take a look at the potential effect of overheating day old chicks and the consequent impact thereof. Let's begin with the principle of the iceberg. As many of you know, an iceberg is a formidable danger because only a small portion is visible above the waterline, while the majority lies hidden beneath. This analogy is crucial in many fields, illustrating that what we see on the surface is only a fraction of the whole picture. When discussing the transport of day-old chicks, we use the iceberg metaphor to illustrate the impact of suboptimal transport conditions. The most visible sign of poor transport is the immediate cost upon arrival, direct mortality, also known as death on arrival or DOA. This becomes apparent when the boxes or crates of chicks are opened and tipped at the farm. An excessive number of DOAs indicates a problem earlier in the chain, either at the hatchery or during the transport. Now consider the hidden part of the iceberg, which constitutes the bulk of the issues. These are the impacts and the signs and the costs not immediately visible upon arrival, but those manifest during the first week or even later in the bird's life cycle. These hidden consequences include first week mortality, weight loss, underdevelopment of the digestive system, reduced immunity, and also long-term effects on production performance, such as growth and feed conversion. The first week mortality rate can significantly affect the overall success rate of the flock, which in turn impacts the farmer's bottom line. Also, weight loss and an underdeveloped digestive tract can hinder the chick's ability to thrive, making them more susceptible to diseases and reducing their overall productivity. If the visible tip of the iceberg, DOA, is substantial, you can be certain that the hidden portion, all these factors that we just mentioned, is even more significant. The costs accumulate over time, potentially leading to drastic reductions in productivity and profitability. Beyond the key production parameters, there's another critical hidden impact, namely the effect of poor delivery on your relations and your reputation with the customers. Because the chick truck that arrives at the farm is often only the direct contact a farmer has with the hatchery. Therefore, the chick carrier can be seen as the hatchery's calling card. A poor delivery experience can damage the farmer's trust in the hatchery, leading to strained relationships and potentially even lost business. This aspect is often overlooked, but it's vital for maintaining a strong customer base and positive reputation in the industry. Now, let's consider an example to illustrate the potential impact of one of these hidden costs. For this, we would like to address a research that has been done by the Aviagen Hatchery Specialist team. They did a study with two groups of Dale chicks. One group of chicks at a comfortable temperature and one group of chicks at a temperature that was too high. The group held at a temperature that was too high was showing behavior that clearly indicated that they were too warm. They were noisy, panting with their beaks open, and even spreading out their wings. The average cloaca vent temperature for this group was just over 41 degrees Celsius, or 106 degrees Fahrenheit. The comfortable group had an average cloaca or vent temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, or in Fahrenheit 104 degrees. As you all will know, the ideal body temperature of a day-old chick is between 39 and 40.5 degrees Celsius, or again in Fahrenheit between 103 and 105 degrees. This is important to note because the difference between both groups was only 1 degree Celsius, or in Fahrenheit 2 degrees. And the group that was too warm was just slightly above ideal body temperature. The differences are only very small. Well, what the Aviagen research team did was that they kept both groups for 12 hours at the hatchery storage and then took samples and measurements. What they found was that the overheated chicks nearly lost twice as much weight. The comfortable group lost about 4.5% body weight, whereas the overheated group lost almost 9%. If I would compare that to myself, weighing just over 80 kilograms, I would be extremely uncomfortable if I lost almost 7 or 8 kilograms in 12 hours due to an uncomfortable ambient temperature. I'm pretty sure you would be too. However, the weight loss was not the only thing found. Samples that were taken also show that the chicks that had been overheated also had a slight gut damage, causing again a slight reduction in absorption of nutrients. Following this, they grew these both groups and both broilers groups in an ongoing trial, and the result shows that the overheated chicks were 60 grams lighter at 35 days than the chicks that were held in comfortable conditions. If we would extrapolate this 60-gram weight loss to day-old chick transport, we all know chick transport can take up to 12 hours and sometimes even longer. And if this transport is not done with the best equipment available, then you could potentially face a significant impact. Let us do a calculation and for argument's sake take the following assumptions. We take a unit of underrated and poor quality which has a capacity of 100,000 DOC, day-old chicks, and if this unit runs for 5 days a week, 47 weeks per year, then this unit runs 235 trips per year. And now again, for argument's sake, let's say that of these 235 trips per year, only 30% of them, so only 70 trips per year, the birds suffer from overheating. For example, during the summer months. Now, these 70 trips with 100,000 DOC means 7 million birds transported while overheating. And if we multiply this 7 million DOC with the 60-gram weight loss found by Aviagen, then the total weight loss is well over 400,000 kilograms. That's 400,000 kilograms of meat yield lost. Given the current market prices for live weight broilers, that would result in a loss of roughly 450,000 to €500,000 per year, that is. A number that's well worth your attention and well worth considering day-old chick transport. Maintaining the right body temperature is crucial for day-old chicks. The ideal body temperature is measured by cloaca, or also called vent temperature. And this should be between 39.5 and 40.5 degrees Celsius, or between 103 and 105 degrees Fahrenheit. When day-old chicks have been kept and transported correctly in the ideal climate conditions, they will be relatively quiet and resting. There is some chatter and movement, but it's relaxed. Also, their beaks will be closed while breathing, and the chicks are nice and evenly spread out through the crate. During transit and when stored in darkness, the Dale chicks will be resting mode. Now that we have discussed risks and challenges and the potential impact these can have on the production performance of the Dale chicks, let's summarize. Here are the takeaway points. First, during extreme climate situations, a proper risk assessment has to be made to decide on how and with what equipment the birds are being transported. The higher the risk, the better the equipment has to be, including maintenance and training of staff. At Heering, we can provide you with all the means necessary to safely transport your chicks, even in the harshest conditions. Secondly, the most important need of Dale chicks is a stable and correct climate and environment. A correct temperature, humidity and CO2 can be achieved with good and strong airflow, and therefore airflow is considered more important than heating or cooling itself. Thirdly, it's necessary to train hatchery staff, truck drivers and farm staff to properly plan and execute the entire process of transporting chicks from hatcher to farm. And don't forget, the way the birds arrive at the farm is the calling card for the hatchery, because that's the only part, the hatchery, that the customer will see. And finally, after considering all we've shared, one can only conclude that transport of Dale chicks is not just about trucking. It's an integral part of the hatchery, and therefore Dale chick carriers should ultimately be considered not just transport material, but as hatchery equipment. If the entire transportation chain goes smooth, the stress will be minimal and nothing will be in the way of a thriving life cycle for these fantastic little animals.